Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the most important NYCFC talk show. You guys are hanging with the Dudes in Blue on this Monday evening. It's episode number 112. Hope this episode finds you well. I'm your host, Joe Amato. Over on this side is Antonino, as always. Dude, what's up?
What's good?
And over there is our friend Ian Joy. What is up, buddy?
A lot of trouble over the last 24 hours, but I did get to see a Derby win.
And you somehow made it to the Dudes in Blue.
Yes, I made it, finally. It's been a long 24 hours, but at the end of the day, there's no better place I'd rather be than with the Dudes in Blue.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thanks so much for taking the time and coming onto the show and being with us for episode 112. It's 112. You were last with us, I think, about 3 months ago for episode 100. So it's great to have you back. I know this was actually this was a listener requested show, and I tweeted out to you. I was like, Ian, question mark? And you were like, yeah, let's do it. So
yeah, why not? I mean, the Derby, I think, deserves something like that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, if you're coming into the broadcast right now, let us know where you're watching from or where you're listening from if you're on the audio podcast. Say hi to Ian. Say hi to myself and Antonino over there. We're going to definitely talk some Hudson River Derby because, well, New York is finally blue somewhat again, and Ian was there calling the game last night and did a phenomenal job. I guess right off the bat, Ian, just hearing from you, hot take on the game, what'd you get?
Okay, first and foremost, it was difficult for me because I had to be more of a neutral rather than being in the Yes Network booth where I'm focusing more on the blue side. It was tough because obviously I have to give a lot of credit to New York Red Bull. We talked a lot about Jesse Marsh and his departure, which was obviously interesting going into the game. And then as you build up to a big derby match like we were trying to do, we expected this firework display. And outside of the first 10 minutes and maybe the last 5 minutes of the game where there was a lot more energy, it was really high intensity and some really big opportunities, it was a rather flat derby, and there wasn't much quality. The game was played in the middle part of the field. If you look at the field in thirds, I would say it's been played largely in the middle third. And it was lacking some sort of specialty, that's for sure. And it didn't have the intensity that I thought we would have witnessed from this derby, especially from the blue side. You know, for NYCFC, I expected there to be a lot more aggression, a lot more determination, a lot more aggressiveness in the final third, and definitely that quality. There was huff and puff without blowing the house down. And eventually, they blew the house down. It came from a mistake. But my big takeaway from the whole game was that it probably would have been a fair result had it ended in a draw, but you got to be delighted that you get 3 points and it stays in the blue side.
Oh, if you're an NYCFC fan, you are absolutely delighted to watch 85 minutes and then our boy Jonathan Lewis come up big, catch sight of that mistake and convert that into a great assist for Maxi. Dude, Ian was just talking about the quality, and I feel like you said, there was a lot of huffing and puffing, but nobody was blowing the house down. I think both teams were just lacking that final pass.
That's what it seemed like. I will say the defenses on both sides played a tremendous part in keeping it that way. But for me, I think, look, you've got two new coaches. You've got two separate parties that are trying to infuse some new ideas into something that's been brewing for the last 4 seasons. So it's like a little more, you expect the first half more both teams to fill each other out, and then second half you would expect both teams to make adjustments where you can try to pick apart the weaknesses and go for it from there. We really just didn't have that. It was more of nobody could find that last edge, that last play in the final third, like Ian was talking about. A lot of play clogging up the midfield, and at times it was tough to watch, but you did see a little bit of chippiness with a couple of tackles, at Tinnerholm getting in people's faces, which I loved. I mean, this guy doesn't back down from anybody, so that was a lot of fun to see. But ultimately, I think we were expecting, like Ian said, a little more energy from both sides and definitely some more goals, but it's a derby game, and when you go, I mean, whatever happens, you always have a good time regardless. And the fact that we were able to come out on top and beat Red Bull with like the most Red Bull goal ever, with a high press, which they didn't really do too much of yesterday, which was surprising to me. But just awesome, great way to finish it, and a great way to start the week where you've got 2 more games to worry about now.
Yeah, this was the one that you wanted to kind of get out of the way and come away with the 3 points on. Not to say that the Montreal match or the Columbus match are things to kind of throw away, but it makes those two matches going into them a little bit less stressful and anxious for me, at least. Ian, the Red Bulls didn't come out and play a very Red Bull-like game right out of the gate. How much of that do you think was their new coach, and how much do you think was just not?
Well, I mean, there was some intensity from the first maybe 5-10 minutes of the game. I felt like, both sides tried to gain control of it. Red Bulls, I would say, had the benefit of the doubt over the first 10 minutes, where they had maybe some more possession than you would have liked to have had as the away team at Yankee Stadium. But I was rather surprised with the determination from their team. I didn't see that bite, that hunger to try and prove that they're trying to win this game for their new boss. You could tell it was maybe a lot of nerves out there. I mean, this is a packed Yankee Stadium. It was 30,000 plus, right? So it's a packed stadium. There was a lot of nervous players out there, but you got a quality player like Bradley Wright Phillips who's sitting up top waiting for opportunity. They didn't create. And that's a credit to our midfield. I think NYCFC did a great job in midfield, that battle there. And as much as Ofori doesn't get much credit, we don't speak about him enough, he did a fine job of being able to try and, stop passes through to the strike line. Alex Ring breaking up fouls and breaking up passes and getting stuck in. I mean, that's where the battle was essentially played, and it really was a scrappy midfield battle. But when we did see some quality from NYCFC, it was down the channels. Rodney Wallace got into some good positions. I was surprised it was Maxi playing as that number 9 and not Ismail Tajuri-Shradi. I thought he would be that number 9. And I probably would have preferred that because I felt like Maxi kept on going searching for the ball. He wasn't getting any opportunities created for him because without Maxi in that number 10, there isn't that number 10. Jesus Medina, as much as we love him, is not that player. Tajuri Shradi is not that player, and neither is Rodney. So we lacked that quality of creation in the midfield area where you would expect Maxi Morales to break down and create those chances. And when we did create some good chances or get in good positions, there was no number 9 in the box. And no David Villa hunting around that penalty area. And enjoying the Burgett recently with that confidence, no determination from anybody in there to really get on the end of crosses or be that final number 9 striker to put the ball in the back of the net. That's what disappointed me, but I enjoyed the game regardless. I thought it was a good game, and when you come out with 3 points, you got to be happy.
Oh, of course. You talked about Ebenezer Ofori, and what I don't know if you guys noticed this at all, but I noticed that when he would find his way upfield, that's when issues were caused from the Red Bulls. So he really, in my mind, he really needs to sit back. I mean, Ring can almost play box to box, but I feel like when Ebenezer Ofori gets forward, it's dangerous. I feel like you needed that extra body back there to kind of stifle that offense. Am I accurate in that? I saw him get forward a few times, and with one simple turnover, Red Bull was on the break.
Go, dude.
Yeah, if there's no communication between he and Ring and whoever's playing midfield at that point in time, you've got to make sure you got that one guy back to support the back line. So if Ring's going forward and all of a sudden Ofori finds himself forward, you've got a big gap between your midfielders and your defensive line, and that's where you can get exploited, especially when it comes to turnovers.
Especially at Yankee Stadium, where you're only 10 feet away from the 6-yard box.
At all.
It's just what happens.
I agree. I think that when you look at exactly what you're saying there, Alex Ring is that player who's been given the role to get forward. I thought it would have been maybe switched because I've seen Ofori play in the German league getting further forward up the field than he actually plays in an NYCFC jersey. And I think really under Domè, we're starting to see Alex Ring being given the confidence to push further forward up the field and have Ofori sit in that number 6 role. But realistically, to make that happen, you need to have your fullbacks getting better quality. We didn't get enough from Anton Tinnerholm on the right-hand side. I felt like he had a poor game overall. Lack of touches, lack of communication. He got into a few battles early on that maybe took his concentration away. Could have picked up a yellow card like 3 or 4 minutes into the game. Probably should have done. Just a lack of concentration, but it was that type of game. I've played in many of those games where things just don't quite work out in your favor. It's just a crap game. It's just nothing's going right, and you're trying to figure it out as the game goes on. And even the opposition weren't playing well. It was just I sat at one point and I said it on the broadcast. There's a lot of supporters sitting down watching this game, and that's not how it should be in New York City. You should be standing up, and the players should be entertaining you, getting you on your feet, and getting after it. And it wasn't the case, except for what happened behind the goal with the third rail. It was pretty disappointing because everybody was just sitting down waiting for something to happen.
And I think that comes from both sides. The Red Bulls didn't do enough to get us angry or fired up, and NYCFC did the same as well. Like you said, the game kind of had a tough time getting its way out of the midfield. And when it did find the final third, the quality just wasn't there. Guys, start leaving your comments for us and for Ian, and let us know your thoughts on this. Just going back to Alex Ring, dude, I know you're obviously a big, gigantic Andrea Pirlo fan, and Alex Ring was trying to make some Pirlo-like passes yesterday, but they just weren't coming. And Ian, you said under Domè, Ring is getting the freedom to go forward a little bit. I think his passing needs to get better. There is no doubt in my mind he is one of our best 11 players on the field at any given time. But when it comes, if you're gonna be able to get forward, there's got to be more quality in the passing. If you ask me,
he has the ability. I know he has the ability because we've seen him do it. We've seen him with those diagonal long balls down the wings to get the open man on the far side of the field with the switches. So I know he can do it. It's just a matter of him being comfortable. And I know yesterday he made a couple comments post game where he mentioned that he likes the way they play when they hold the ball and when he gets 100 touches and he's constantly on the ball. This game was a little different for him because we didn't do that. We booted the ball forward, and it was more about winning duels in the midfield and just trying to keep the ball on that side of the field. So it's a little different look for him. So again, you're going to get players now that if you're going to have to do this on occasion, you've got to get comfortable with it. So again, a lot of players' passes weren't great yesterday. A lot of passes from side to side that were falling short, that were just maybe 5 feet too short, where, they could be read fairly easily, especially at that distance. So for me, that'll come, and if he's the one moving forward, that's great. But I think in time you'll see that everybody's going to adapt more to what Domè has in store. And for me, it's a great change because that's kind of been our downfall, is our inability to figure out what to do when our game plan has pretty much got wrenches thrown in it. So this to me was a big sign of, regardless of what the result was, whether we lost by one or it was a draw or we won, I just wanted to see the team come out, compete, which they did, sloppily, albeit, but you came out and you did something different. You didn't play the ball out of the back. You started with Sean Johnson, but you showed them a different look, and you took away their ability to press high for majority of the game, and you were able to capitalize in the midfield with height battles, with just numbers. It was really a good thing to see something a little different, knowing this team can actually do it, because we weren't sure if they could, but now these guys can. Now you got to work on it and perfect it.
Sean Johnson threw the ball. He threw the ball.
He tried to.
How much of that is Domè, Ian?
Yeah, listen, the coach deserves some credit for already trying to implement his own ideas and how they want to play. I met with him before kickoff for the first time. I'd actually had a chance to meet with him face to face, and really enjoyed speaking to him for a few minutes. What a guy! And you can see his ideas already being implemented, trying to get the ball out regardless of how the high pressure was. At times yesterday we were seeing centre backs spreading wide, both full backs trying to push further up, get the ball to the back line, try to play this passing game regardless of the pressure, and find that extra outlet, which is pretty cool, but you got to be able to have the players and the confidence to be able to do that. And then also when you don't have the ball, he wants a high pressure to be able to close down and win the ball back as quickly as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. That was his words yesterday in pre-kickoff, and I like that. And it happened for about 10 minutes, but then the game slowly died down, and there wasn't that intensity. I think he'll be disappointed. He wanted to talk at halftime to our Fox reporters. He wanted to talk more. We only asked him one question, but he kept going and going and going. We had to cut him off.
I noticed that.
Yeah. Listen, he's excited, and that's what I like about him. And let's face it, he's had one derby and he's won one derby, and that's all that will be remembered. And as far as what Dude just said there, you got to look at the fact that you got to be impressed with the way that they performed, regardless of the fact that it wasn't a great game. But I'm more impressed the fact that they dug out and got a win. making a change, bringing Lewis on to have an impact, to make that mistake, to force the mistake. You still got to put the ball in the back of the net, and Maxi did that. So I'm delighted with the fact that the team, regardless of how crap that game was, came away with 3 points. That's really impressive to me. They can win when it's a crap game. They can win when it's a boring game. And at the end of the day, all the supporters remember is that they won.
Yeah, I think the bigger challenge is when you have those stretches of away games where this is where NYCFC has struggled, and this is where, yes, he's got the derby under him. He won his first game, lost his first road game, won his first derby, but now you got 3 games in 7 days. That's a tough stretch, and then you hit the road again for a couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts on the road after that Fire loss. I'm getting a lot of comments here right now, guys, about Jesus Medina. And Jason is saying Medina, in my opinion, was a ghost again last night. And there's a couple of and then Joey's also asking, how did you guys feel about Medina in the midfield? Again, I'm not trying to get on the hate Medina train here, but I just feel like he's gotta produce more. I feel like he's very Kyrie Shelton-esque in that you want to get excited when he gets the ball, but then in the back of your mind, you see him try to run at a defender and then it just fizzles out almost every single time. What is the deal with Jesus? I want to hear this from Ian because I don't think we've talked about this with him at all. Anthony and I have talked about it countless times.
Still can't figure it out.
We still can't figure it out. So Ian, I mean, what do you got on Medina?
Well, I mean, let's face it. He's not been at the club for long. Okay. First and foremost, he's got himself into a situation where he impressed us immediately. Okay, his first performances were really impressive. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you knew there was more to come from him. He's a young boy, right? He's at a new club in a new city, trying to figure out life, and all of a sudden you lose your coach that brought you to the club. Now, let's not forget that he is still so young. He's still so raw. He's played a lot of games for us. I expect more from him because you can clearly see that he has the potential and he has that desire there. It's just you're waiting for him to find that productivity, that final pass. And maybe I'd like to see a little bit more determination from him in that final third, maybe more selfishness. Whereas a lot of the time he, in the final third, will look interested and then sort of fade out of trying to get that ball. What I want to see from a player who has that much talent is say, give me the ball. And when he doesn't get the ball, get angry with his teammates. Even if it is David or Maxi or Rodney or whoever is in possession of the ball, Anton on that side or on the other side, Matarrita or Ben, give me the ball. And if you don't give me the ball, I'm going to keep yelling at you until I get the ball. That's what I want to see from Medina. Right now, what we're seeing is a quiet boy. He's quiet on the field. If he doesn't get the ball, he just jogs around and he waits until he gets his touch, and then all of a sudden he comes to life. I don't want to see that from him. I want to see more. I want to get the ball. And I would say it's Domè's job to try and get him the ball more because everybody knows he's got that potential.
Yeah, he definitely does. So I guess like the bigger question here is, and actually somebody in the comments here, I'll try to find it, but somebody asked, do you have to give him the Lewis treatment of sitting him for a couple of games, seeing if that ignites, or what's it going to take, kind of shifting the conversation here a little bit. We've seen productivity from Jonathan Lewis every time he's come onto the pitch, just about every time he's set foot on the pitch. At what point do you sit Medina and start Lewis? I mean, you probably see it on Twitter all the time, guys. Start Lewis. Where's Lewis? Start Lewis. Where's Lewis? I'm starting to ask myself that question as well, especially after what he was able to produce last night. Dude, what do you got?
It's a tough one. Do you know for certain that Lewis can do it for 75 minutes plus? I'm sure he can. You're not going to know until you try, obviously. Is sitting Medina the answer? Again, it's not something that I know because I'm not really in his head. I'm not sure. Is he afraid? Is he afraid to be vocal? Is he, listen, I'm the new guy. You guys have been here for a year and a half, 2 years, 4 years. I'm listening to you. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. When in reality, he's got the skill, no doubt. We've seen it. In the beginning of the season, even on defense, he manages at times to get himself in the way and block things that are almost certain to cause havoc in our end of the field. I want to see more. I want to see him get the ball and sprint. I don't think I've seen him sprint once. I've seen him jog with the ball and then try to beat a defender here and there. I want to see him get the ball in the middle of the field and sprint and find space and bring 2 or 3 guys with him and then figure out what's going on. Somebody's going to be open. He'll create his own space and get a shot off. Now, again, he had a shot yesterday, didn't get all of it, but it could have easily just gone in. Robles made a great save on it. And he finds himself once or twice in good spots, but if a player of that caliber, for me, it's more of how long can you sit and wait until he finds it. Mm-hmm. That, to me, is what's going to be. Is it going to cost you a game before you do something about it? Is it going to be, are you going to keep going with it? And he's going to be the one question mark every week of what's going to happen. Can you really afford to do that? Can you play games in that way where you've got one guy that's not really giving you the 110% that you're looking for? Especially when you know at 110% with this guy's going, with his skill, he could be deadly. Right. So for me, you got to do something about it. There's one little thing that's got to flick, and this guy could be amazing.
Maybe it's a confidence thing, right? I mean, there's a new coach now in charge, and every single player, in my opinion, from my understanding, is on the same level. They've all got to try and impress the boss. So it's a matter of time if he continues to perform at a lower level before the coach starts to give other players an opportunity. And there are a number of players on that bench who haven't played many minutes recently, who have been very frustrated at not getting enough time in the starting 11. And training performances are also what matters. Maybe he's the type of player who in training can really turn it on. I haven't seen enough training sessions recently, especially under Dominic Torrent, to tell me that he has been doing so. But I think that the all-round factor for Medina is that everybody's waiting, and even the coaches know that he's a good player. And if I'm the coach, I keep playing him. And I tell every single player on that field, whenever we get the chance, get him the ball in the right position so that he can be deadly. And he can be.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the same stubbornness from Domè that we saw from Patrick Vieira. So I don't know how many more lackluster performances he's going to allow out of Medina before some changes are made, because listen, we've seen him make changes from week to week and half to half. He's not afraid to change things up, which is what I love about his coaching style.
I'll tell you what though, with Domè, you've got a coach that he's very positive in his thinking. He's very get behind the guys and make sure, like the first thing he told them when he got there, you guys are better than you think you are. And that can go a long way. Look at Birgit. Birgit's got friggin' 4 goals already under this guy. It's amazing. So it's just that 3. Okay, listen, I want to give him a couple extra. Don't worry about it.
You got the Birgit love. I'm on the anti-Birgit train.
I think he's a type of coach where if you need that boost in confidence, not many coaches can give it to you. Some of them are so hard-nosed where it's like, if you're not doing it, someone else will. Whereas if you get a guy who's got a little bit more positive, and if someone else is telling you you can do something when you don't think you can, and he's the boss, you better believe it could help you. So maybe this could be a turning point where, hey, listen, he's going to help him out, and we'll see something soon.
Yeah, we shall see. A couple of weeks ago, Ian, Domè mentioned that he's going to need a couple of weeks. And each week he's going to start to kind of interject something new with the squad. Do you think that what we saw last night was the way that he wants to play, or do you think there's still a lot more adjustments to be made based on conversations?
I mean, if he wants to play like they played last night, then we're in a lot of trouble. It wasn't good enough for our standards.
That's why I ask.
I don't think he'll be really happy with the team's performance, even though they won the game. I think there's a lot more work to be done on the training ground. And listen, the guy's fresh, not only to New York City, but also to the league. And there's a lot to learn about this league, the way that teams play, learning the opposition, temperatures in stadiums in different cities, travel, all of that comes into play. And he's got to learn all that. You can't just automatically concentrate like he has done previously in European clubs at Barca, at Bayern, wherever he's been, City, where you're on a plane in a private jet flying game to game and everything is absolutely focused in to getting the best out of the players. In Major League Soccer, that's not the case. Major League Soccer, these players sometimes get treated very poorly, where they've got to sit on commercial planes, delays, then go through weather conditions, especially recently with midweek games, the travel. It's embarrassing. He's got to deal with all that, and then he's got to try and get the best out of his players. So it's a learning curve for him. it's a learning curve for obviously the coaching staff who have already been there working with a new coach, trying to implement their ideas and help him make his team selection. The injuries haven't helped him either. It's been really disappointing. Obviously, as we just talked about, Berget has recently found some form in front of goal. And last night in a derby game, that's the type of player you want, someone who's confident, someone who can make an impact. So that was lacking yesterday. But listen, we can be disappointed as much as we want about the performance and about how poor the game was as far as quality goes. But at the end of the day, the 3 points stayed in New York City. And that's what we want to see at the end of the day. When you can pick up 3 points when the team didn't perform at their very best, it's a good sign.
Yeah, for sure. Christian Smith on Facebook is saying, I think that was a temporary solution to our issues with the high press. We had to play ugly that game. But again, I didn't feel like Red Bull pressed us all that much. And honestly, listen, when you look at Callens and Chanot, who hasn't seen the pitch in I don't know how long, those guys defended pretty well. I mean, BWP was I don't want to say a non-issue, but was very non-threatening. So I think, defensively we were pretty tight. Just again, the quality in the final third wasn't there, but defensively, how do you guys think we did? What do you got?
I think both teams had it on the defensive side, and I guess stopping the ball is a little bit easier than scoring with it. As we saw yesterday with 0-0 to the late 80s in minutes. So we're lucky. We've got 3 really solid center backs where I would be okay with any one of them filling those roles. I don't have a problem with Ibiaga starting, with Chanot starting, with Callan starting. Luckily for us, we have a lot of games coming up where you're going to need these guys. These guys are going to play. You're not going to get guys that are going to be sitting and let's face it, center backs aren't usually guys that are subbed in too often, minutes-wise. You're not going to sub off your center back for another center back at the half unless somebody's injured. You're going to bringing a center back for the last 7-8 minutes of a game, trying to play 5 out of the back, or you might bring a wing back on if you have to. So these guys are going to have to get minutes to stay fresh, and the fact that they're all playing at such a high level is really awesome for us. And I'm really impressed because, let's face it, this is probably the best our defense has looked ever. Honestly, right? I mean, we had so many issues the first couple of seasons with defense. Those issues are long gone now. I don't even remember those.
Especially when you're saying you're happy with any one of 3 centre backs playing. I mean, we haven't ever said that before. So that's a nice problem to have. I think last night both fullbacks could have done a better job going forward. I felt like times their touch wasn't quite there, especially Anton on the right-hand side. He looked maybe a little fatigued. So I didn't see his best performance. Ben, not really effective enough going forward. Defensively, they were reasonably solid. They both supported the centre-backs well. I was impressed with Maxime. I thought he had a very good game. And Callens, again, another solid performance. I especially liked the way that when the going get tough inside the penalty area and it was like a ping ball machine, they were diving, putting their bodies in front of the ball, whatever they could. And at one time, I think Maxime got his face smashed in because of it. He put himself on the line. And I like that. They're doing it for the badge. Sean made a very good save at the near post, which could have been a freak goal when Lawrence got forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
That cross that could have gone in. He made a very good save there. There was one shot on target from either side, so not much to deal with in the first 45 minutes. And then in the second half, it was just a nothing game until the final 5 minutes. So all around, good, solid defensive performance. That's where I think the coach will be reasonably pleased. And again, I go back to it, Ofori and Ring are a large part of that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Guys, start putting in the comments who your vote for the dude of the match was. While we discuss this might be a little difficult, but Ian, we pick a dude of the match every week, and sometimes it's an NYCFC player, sometimes it's an opposing player. Yes. But this week, just from sheer impact and what led to the goal, I'm going to give it to Jonathan Lewis for seizing the opportunity, fighting off Aaron Long, finding Maxi in the middle of the box, and picking up the assist on the game-winning goal. What do you guys think?
I got yeah, it's a tough one. I wanted to go Sean Johnson just because he did come up with one big save where he had to dive to his left and stop a ball where he couldn't catch it, but he put it in a spot where it was hard to get to, and nothing came of it. He made that near post save. He made 2 near post saves, it looked like, one on either side of the net in the second half. And his distribution, I think his distribution, he aside from the 2 balls he put onto the VAR screen in the first half, I think his distribution and what he was doing, able to dump the ball in the middle and keep it, as far away as possible. I think he did a good job. Seeing him throw the ball, seeing him, be that quarterback on the field, be the decision maker where, all right, now I'm starting to play, not my center backs. I'm going to dictate how this goes. I think he did a fairly good job, and I think he's going to do better as it increases as the season goes on. So for me, it's Sean Johnson, but I could totally see Jonathan Lewis. I'm not gonna argue it there because in such a short period of time, he's been being able to do some great things.
I agree, and I'm going to agree with the decision to go with Lewis because that game was heading for 0-0. If somebody didn't step up and make a difference, then I was crying all game long in the commentary for someone to step up and make something happen. I thought it was going to take something special. This time it took a mistake, but Jonathan Lewis forced that mistake, and that's what I love. When you're a substitute and you've got a new boss on the sidelines, you only have, 7 or 8 minutes to impress that boss. There's no better way to do that than to cause a mistake along their back line and create an opportunity. And he did exactly what he was told to do, and he did it with quality. It was a great cutback for Maxi, and I give him a lot of credit because this kid, I think we talked about him the last time, he comes into the training ground, and every time I see him, he's got a smile on his face, and he hasn't played as many minutes as he would have wanted to have done. He's still got a lot more to do to improve and get better, and he's learning to do so. Now under a new boss, he's got to do it all over again. But when you have an impact like that for a new boss, it's a very good thing. And I'll be surprised if he doesn't get more minutes. I will be very surprised. So I'm going for him as well as my dude of the match.
All right, I'm going to read a comment here which pretty much sums up kind of what you just said there. Neil on Facebook is saying, Jonathan Lewis, as I watched the replay, it's clear that there was a distinct difference in life in the attack as soon as he came on as a sub. And again, like you said, Ian, this game was going to end scoreless. And he was the guy that, again, found the mistake, forced it, found Maxi to put away the goal. I think Jonathan Lewis is going to have to get it this time. Episode 112, Jonathan Lewis. I don't think he's had one, dude. So Lauren, if you're in the broadcast, update that Google Doc and give the dude of the match to Jonathan Lewis for this time. Christian is giving it to Ian Joy. That's just not fair, man. That's just not fair for bringing some home support to the national stage. As subdued as it was. You definitely did that. But, Jonathan Lewis all the way. He played, that was a very Red Bull-esque move, what he did there. The pressure he applied. It's almost like he's better suited on their side sometimes. I don't know. Dare I say. And we just lost half of our listeners. So, so that being said, again, really great match. Amazing for NYCFC to pick up the 3 points in a game that was otherwise pretty flat, opportunity-wise. Yeah. So really exciting, and we appreciate all the comments on that. Ian, you're doing something with like this tournament that's going on somewhere else in the world. Like what's been like the most exciting part of the World Cup for you? I'm completely changing gears here because I'm like, this guy's living World Cup every freaking day. I got to know what's happening on your end.
I'm living every single minute of it. I mean, the call times, as you can imagine, on the West Coast have been ridiculous. I mean, it's been like 2 and 3 a.m. call times to get to the studio. So I've watched every single show, every single freaking game, and loved every single minute of it. I mean, to have only 1-0-0 game throughout the whole tournament right now up until the semi-final is remarkable. But my favorite from the beginning was France, and I still fancy them to go on and win it. But Mbappe is definitely my favorite player of the tournament so far. And even though he's only had 1 or 2 maybe really superstar games, that was enough for me to make me realize, oh my God, this kid could be the next world superstar. He has the potential. He is the type of player that gets me off my chair. And that's the type of player I want to be sitting and watching to play the game because the excitement levels go through the roof. That game against Argentina was mine. It stood out for me big time. I love the Final Four, I've got to admit. These 4 have been probably the most consistent 4 in the tournament. Belgium very good from the get-go, even though their group was pretty easy along with England. And of course, when they faced each other, it was a nothing game. And then the other side, Croatia have worked very hard to get all the way to the stage that they're in right now. I just wonder whether or not they've got the legs to go to the final. And then obviously France, I mentioned before, are my favorites. So any one of these 4 teams could win it. Let's face it.
Yeah, no, I had when I picked my brackets, I had France going all the way. Dude, I think you had Germany.
No, I think I had
Belgium.
I might have had France or Brazil. I fill out so many of these things and they all suck.
Well, I think that's the consensus, though.
For the group stage.
That's the consensus across the world.
France definitely. You watch just the sheer fact that you could look at who France didn't take with them, and you could have made a superstar team out of those guys. These guys are young, they're fresh, and to me, they look like they're having the most fun when they play. And that to me is a huge part of any sport. No matter what sport I watch, if the guys are having fun, it is so much more enjoyable. And you look at some of these big clubs who lose a game or draw a game, and all of a sudden the screws get put to them and they're not having fun anymore. Then it becomes work. So those games are they lose a little bit of something. And for
I say it, still more to come from them.
What's that?
Yeah, I think so.
There's more to come from France. They're such a quality side.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, listen, like you said, when you talk about Mbappe, that kid is an absolute stunner. I mean, like you said, in the Argentina game specifically, but like he's also at a club that's going to allow him to even like this is not even as good as it gets for him. And that's what's scary.
Yeah.
Like when you have that club behind you, it's gonna be scary. And then you find he's 19 years old.
I think he's already bigger than the club, and that's a crazy thing to say.
Come on.
I think he's already bigger than the club. I think that the problem you're going to have now with a player like Mbappe, that you're going to see big money coming his way from La Liga. And I'm sure Premier League clubs as well will want him. Manchester City, I'm sure, will be after him. And they've all got the money to spend. Financial fair play comes into it, I know. But he is not the type of player, and I hate to say this, but he's not the type of player I want to see playing in League 1 because he's not competitively getting what he wants domestically in the league. In the Champions League, awesome. PSG are fun to watch. They're dangerous. And maybe with him, they might win it. They might just win it.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you can imagine the money starting to flow his way. I mean, especially after this, especially if France takes it too. I mean, like if they take the cup, you're going to see all sorts of craziness happen. I mean, we think the numbers going with the numbers for Neymar and Ronaldo getting bigger and bigger. The numbers are only just going to keep getting bigger because these guys are getting younger and younger. So it's pretty remarkable. Their ceiling is a lot higher than the other guys, but that's pretty awesome. So are you looking forward to Bundesliga coming back?
Yeah, I really am. And it's already started to put the wheels in motion. I'm going out to Pittsburgh in about 10 days' time to watch Borussia Dortmund train and going to meet up with Christian Pulisic, Mario Götze, doing some interviews with those two guys and hopefully Royce. And then we have the Super Cup on the 12th of August, which I'm really looking forward to. It's obviously Frankfurt against Bayern Munich, the DFB Pokal winner against the league winner in Frankfurt, where Niko Kovac is going to make his first appearance as the coach of Bayern Munich against his former club. So that's a cool story. And then the season kicks off in the later stages of August, and there's a lot of moves going on right now. So many transfers. Bobby Wood just moved to Hanover, so he's back in the top flight again. And there's a young kid just signed for Bayern Munich from FC Dallas. I mean, I know there's rumors going around from a certain player, NYCFC's youth team, who's possibly on the way to a Bundesliga club. And I won't release any names, but yeah, it's moving. And there's a lot of Americans getting linked. Now, Jesse Marsch has obviously gone over to Leipzig. I mean, the stories are just fantastic. This is my league of passion. It's a league that I follow intensely and always will. So I can't wait. Bring it on.
It's definitely getting a lot more attention, as it deserves. It's an exciting league to watch. I mean, like when I turn on Fox on Saturday morning, I'm like, you always get kind of sucked into the drama of the game and like the intensity of the games. They're really, really fun to watch. Guys in the comments, here's what I want you to do. Smash the like button for Ian Joy for like on short notice. He's coming off of 24 hours of ridiculous travel and he's on with the Dudes in Blue for episode 112. Make sure to follow him. Ian, where can they follow you and how do they get in touch with you?
At Joy Paul Ian on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. It's always the same, at Joy Paul Ian. And always, please feel free to reach out. I'm always willing to listen and reply anytime I get a chance. So it's great to hear. And I love what I get from the NYCFC fans. They're very positive and they always try to come together and push this team forward. So every time I get a comment, it's always something really positive and pushing in the right direction. So I love it. I love communicating with them.
Awesome. And so how many more NYCFC games are in your schedule? Do you have any more upcoming?
Oh, I got a bunch. Yeah, I'm going to be back in town August 4th. Obviously, I'm going to miss this Montreal game. There's I think an ESPN game coming up soon as well, so I'm going to be missing a few of those. Mm-hmm. August 4th, I'll be in town. The end of August as well, there's a midweek game. And then I think I've got 2 or 3 in September as well. There's another midweek game and an international break. So I've got a good 4 or 5 before the end of the season. So you'll see me around. And again, to everybody who watches, feel free to come say hi. And I'm always willing to talk to the team whenever I get the chance.
Awesome. Good. You got anything else for Ian before we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, we just got a few minutes. So I want to touch on something with both you guys, or everybody. I think yesterday you saw the lack of creativity because our most creative player was playing striker, like we stated. So, you see injuries that happen. Our depth is depleted a little bit in the midfield with Herrera being out and, our defense with Hatunji being out. Ian, what do you see? Do you see the team shoring up anybody in the transfer window? Do you see us bringing in a couple of depth pieces, yes. Maybe a midfielder, a little more creativity, a little more attacking? What do you think, not player specific, but just like the type of player in general? Who do you think that this team needs to kind of give us that final push last half of the year?
Well, from my understanding, they're looking at a central defender. From my understanding, they're looking at a midfielder. But recently, when you look at the performances without David in the side, you've got to look at someone who can create and also be a goal scorer. So right down the spine, I think, is where the club will be looking to try and add. But it's difficult. I mean, this is such a difficult jigsaw to put together. No doubt that Domè will try to bring some of his own people over, so that might see maybe a couple of people being put out the door as well. And there are a lot of people sitting on that bench who have been frustrated, who will want playing time and may not get it at NYCFC, so they're going to have to be moving on. And I'm sure that can happen at any time before that transfer window closes. But, I mean, me personally, I'd like to see someone come in an attacking role. I want to see somebody who can step up, not just Berget, who, in my opinion, has largely been disappointing up until the last 2 or 3 game days which he played. I would like to see someone in the stature of a David Villa who is a hungry striker, who is a guy who can drop off deep from that number 9 role and push the team, who can motivate the team and have the quality to finish. Because when you take David out of the team, it's really been Tajuri Shradi who's been the most consistent finisher in the team. So I want to see that deadly striker come into this team. You got to spend money on those guys, and do we have the space to be able to do that? That's Claudio's job, and it's not an easy one, that's for sure.
Nope.
Yeah, no, I think definitely with the injury to Herrera, and even David now struggling with injury and Berget struggling with injury, you got to have a finisher. Maxi is 110% not a striker, definitely not a target guy in the box for several different feet of reasons, but and then you definitely need that you need that midfielder. I want to see somebody in the midfield that's a little bit more attacking oriented. I know you said that we talked a little bit about Alex Ring getting forward, but I want to see somebody be able to create a little bit more out of the midfield and be more of a threat, so that you relieve some of that pressure from Maxi. Because I feel like when teams shut down Maxi Morales in the midfield, we're pretty much eliminated unless we're tacking up the wings well. So if you get somebody else in the midfield that can attack and be threatening as Maxi, that would be absolutely fantastic too.
I think that left wing position is also a position they might try to improve on. Like, you have a Matarrita and you have a Rodney Wallace, who are 2 very good attack-minded players. Matarrita, in my opinion, is a left fullback. I'd like to see him play left back. Ben has obviously done a very good job and very difficult to dislodge from that position, even though he's been shaky in a few games recently, and that doesn't help him. But I'd like to see a fast winger on the left-hand side not a Jesus Medina who's been playing on that side or a Tajuri Shradi who's been playing on that side. I'd like to see a fast left-footed winger playing in that position. I think that our team could really use that. But when you take Berger out the team and you take David, there's no strikers. So it is out there. I mean, I recently did some work for LAFC that I know a lot of the New York City fans criticized me for, but I helped them out. And they just brought in this Diomande guy to replace Vela when he's not fit. And the guy can't stop scoring goals. And yes, he costs some money, but that's what I'd like to see us do as a club. Invest for the depth of the squad, not just the starting 11. So that when you have those injuries, somebody can step in, score goals. We'd all be happy with that. We need that.
Are you going to pull Landon Donovan on us and open your sweatshirt and see like an LAFC kit under there? Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I mean, I obviously helped him out. Somebody pulled out last minute, and I'm obviously here in LA, so for me it's easy.
What's that guy's name? What is that? Oh, he's got what's that player's name? Because he's been absolutely on fire from LA.
Diomande?
Yes, Diomande. Yeah. He's been. I mean, it also helps that they were playing against Orlando.
Right, but that's the type of player I would like to see our club go after.
Yeah, you need that. Yep.
This is a guy who's scored goals at the highest level,
sure.
And he's obviously got great character trying to prove a point, and he's a depth player. He's not a 11 player. But when you're scoring goals, it then becomes a battle between Vela, and you can start to rest your best players because this guy minutes. I want to see our club get that quality and depth. And this season, it has improved. It's got better under Patrick. Now I want to see it go to the next level where you're bringing players on who are really going to have an impact.
And I think if you do, that's when you're going to start to see those 3, 4, 5 goal score lines, which NYCFC is not really known for. We're not really known for putting up a lot of goals. We're known for winning by a goal. That's pretty much where we're at. Pretty much stressing out until the final whistle, just hoping they don't tie it up. But yeah, that certainly would be outstanding. So very, very, very good input. Once again, everybody, thanks so much for spending the time with us, Ian, and everybody in the comments. Let Ian know how much you love him, and really us too. I mean, like mainly us, but Ian maybe a little bit. Smash the like button. Give us the follow, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're at Dudes in Blue. We're going to be back. Are we doing a Thursday night after Montreal?
Of course we are.
Okay, that wasn't even a question.
What kind of show would this be if we didn't keep up to the date, up to the minute? We gotta stick with that. So yes, Thursday night we will definitely be
Thursday night 8 p.m. for episode 113 after the Montreal Impact match. Ian, again, thanks for taking the time out of your crazy World Cup Fox Sports schedule and world traveling lifestyle to hang out with us for a little while. We really do appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me back on.
So, guys, we'll be here on Thursday at 8 p.m. after the Montreal game, and then obviously again on Monday night at 8 p.m. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the show. Make sure to leave us a review on iTunes and on Facebook if you like this format, or if you're listening on the pod, let us know your feedback. That greatly helps us improve the show. So, guys, until next time, which will be Thursday, Ian, thanks so much, and stay blue.
Blue.